John, I know guys missing time right now is not a big deal. Jalen Pitre's missed, I guess, a couple practices. I was more or less, though, wondering in regards to him of what should we be looking forward to, or what should be like kind of the, I guess, the expectations, for lack of a better term, for a Jalen Pitre entering this season? What do the Texans want to see? What does he need to see?
When they moved Pitre last year, it was kind of like what he did at Baylor. He was covering slot receivers, gave him a chance to blitz, gave him a chance to get involved in a lot of tackles, and he was playing really well. And then he got hurt, tore a pec. He missed the rest of the season. Then he rehabbed. He reported he's in great shape, and he'll be there. He'll be there when they start playing. And they have Derek Stingley Jr., first team All-Pro. They have cornerback Kamari Lassiter, all rookie team. And then they have Pitre, and they're covering two wides and a slot receiver. And Kalen Bullock, who was a third-round pick last year, also made the all-rookie team. And then they brought in C.J. Gardner-Johnson from the Eagles, who intercepted 6 passes for the Super Bowl champion. So they got depth at corner. They've got depth at safety, and they could have one of the best secondaries in the NFL. But to be able to do that, you got to get pressure on the quarterback. And their strength in their deepest area is the defensive line. So that'll help players like Pitre. The coaches love Pitre just like they did at Baylor. His teammates love Pitre. And I think at some point, if Jalen can stay healthy, he'll be a Pro Bowl player.
Man, we were talking about him the other day. I don't know where we were, but the way that he and Terrell Bernard, and they do this even to this day, they're not real large, but they play and hit like they sting you when they hit you. And it's great. I was always wondering, would they be able to handle the wear and tear with their body size? And they have not blinked. And not only that, they got the second contract each. I'm so proud of them, John. They're unbelievable.
The thing about Pitre and Bernard, they're both really smart and they're very instinctive. And they adapt quickly to a system. Now, Bernard's been able to have the same system in Buffalo under Sean McDermott. And but those guys, they're quick. You know, speed's not. They're quick. They're quick. They're smart. They're instinctive. They know where the ball's going, and they're fearless. And that's why coaches and fans and media love players like that.
Mm-hmm. No question. John McClain, Hall of Fame columnist, with us on 365 Sports.
John, which new coach do you think will have the most success early on?
You're talking about head coach in the NFL?
Yeah.
A lot of people seem to think Ben Johnson at Chicago could lead them from worst to first. I don't buy it. The Lions, to me, are still a great team that won 15 games last year. Ben Johnson was the most highly rated defensive coordinator. I would like to say Pete Carroll, because he's got a player I think is going to be offensive rookie of the year, running back Ashton Jeanty. He's got Geno Smith coming off the most yards of his career, but he also has to worry about 3 teams that are playoff contenders: the Chiefs, the Super Bowl contender, the Broncos, and the Chargers. So it's a really, really tough division. And I think Liam Cohen going to Jacksonville is going to be the best thing that happened to Trevor Lawrence, and they play in a bad division, the AFC South. But I'm still going to go with Ben Johnson, thinking about what he did with Jared Goff. And what Jared Goff got traded there, everybody thought it was going to be a one and done, and then they would use a high pick on another quarterback, and he's been great in that offense. He's been great playing for Ben Johnson. I think we're going to see Caleb Williams make remarkable improvement, and he wasn't too shabby as a rookie, sacked more than any quarterback. A lot of those were his fault, so I'm going to say Ben Johnson.
Is the AFC West the most intriguing division in football now? Just the head coaches and I don't know. It just seems like there's a lot more interest out there than there has been maybe in a while. I know Kansas City's the top dog, but the Raiders with that Carroll hire, interesting. Broncos, I mean, what do you think?
Possibly 4 coaches for the Hall of Fame. Certainly Andy Reid will be there. Andy's one of the all-time greats. It's funny how that happens when you get a great quarterback. You know, Jim Harbaugh maybe someday, Pete Carroll for sure, and Sean Payton for sure. But I think the NFC North and the AFC North, clearly in each of those divisions, there's a last place team, and there's a team we think will finish first, but there's three playoff teams in each of those divisions, and I think they're going to be really, really good. And of course, in the NFC East, with that record 21 years in a row, I think with no repeat champion, that would mean it would be Washington winning division or perish the thought the Cowboys. But as somebody pointed out, I saw the other day, in the last 5 seasons in which Dak Prescott has been healthy or close to healthy, meaning he started most of the games, Cowboys have been in the playoffs. So it's all up to Dak. Keep Dak healthy. You know, that division could have 3 teams in there. But each one of them clearly has a clearly defined last place team, I think, except for the NFC North, because the Bears could be greatly improved, still might not make the playoffs. I think Minnesota, of all the good teams last year, letting Sam Darnold go and making the decision to go with J.J. McCarthy, they could certainly drop back from 14 wins to 9, 8, something like that. I think they could take the biggest fall.
John, the Terry McLaurin deal, he reported to camp. I don't think he's participating, but he reported to camp. He had a big deal, 3 years, nearly $70 million. He's going to get about $20 million. But I saw where he actually lost, am I right, $800,000 for holding out. How could that possibly be right? Was that for off-season workouts? Was that one of those scheduled bonuses or whatever? That's a lot of money. I don't care how much you make.
You get fined $50,000 a day. And that's in the last collective bargaining agreement. You miss the mini camp, the mandatory mini camp. That's the only thing they can fine them for during the off-season program. But that starts to add up. The problem with Terry McLaurin is he's going to be 30. He's on his 3rd contract. Usually your 3rd contract is not the one in which you're going to get the big bucks. I think they'll get it worked out. They have not had contract issues since Josh Harris bought that team. And he's of course really, really popular. And he'll be 30 in September. So he's a popular player. He's a team leader. He's come through the bad years. Dan Quinn needs him. I think they'll get it worked out, and they'll give him not a big new contract like the other receivers, but they'll guarantee him a lot of money.
John, I want to go back to Dak Prescott for a second. You mentioned that when he plays most of the year that they're in the playoffs. I think, and look, I know that he is, he's only so good. Like he's not Mahomes, he's not Josh Allen, but I think he's the most unfairly judged player in the NFL because they're like, well, Dak can't get it done. Dak can't get it done. But the Cowboys roster building is always like, it's like they leave off the last paragraph of the paper they're supposed to turn in. And there's always just one thing that gets them that's not Dak's fault.
It wasn't Dak's fault that they didn't fix their running game last year. It wasn't Dak's fault that they didn't give Derrick Henry even a call, even though he was living and working out in Dallas. It wasn't his fault. They had one of the worst running games, and then he suffered a legitimate injury, and the running game's going to have an issue again unless somebody surprising emerges. That's the thing that the Cowboys have done that surprises me the most. When you look back at the Cowboys' history and the success they've had, there was always a good running back up there at the forefront with a top quarterback. And going back all the way to their first time they got good back in the 60s. And I don't understand Jerry and Stephen Jones not doing something to satisfy that need, because that would help Prescott. And if you know Dak's got to be healthy, you need to do everything you can for Dak, and they haven't done it.
All right, John.